That is no doubt also the #1 goal of our next guest as we rejoin Big Ten football and beyond with a trip to Iowa City and check in with Hawkeye head man Kirk Ferentz. Kirk, as always, great to chat, and thanks so much for your time.
Well, good to talk to you, Rick. Our first goal right now is to get the first win, which won't be easy this Saturday.
We'll get to that Wyoming game in just a sec. And Kirk, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm guessing you would have preferred to have named a starting quarterback earlier than you actually did. You eventually go with Nate Stanley. Why so long to make the decision, and what was ultimately the deciding factor in going with Nate?
You know, there have been some years, you think back to Drew Tate, Nathan Chandler, where it was pretty apparent who the next starter was going to be the next year. Brad Banks in 2002 the same way. So this year is a little bit more like when we had Christensen and Stanzi kind of dueling it out. And that really didn't get settled till the end of September in '08. So, you know, really what it came down to, both guys did a great job competing against each other. We're, you know, we believe in both of them. We think both of them can move our football team. And at the end of the day, it was really a tough call for us.
Kirk, I read that after a lot of folks in the media were calling him Nathan, he said, guys, can you call me Nate? When I hear Nathan, it makes me feel like my mom is mad at me. We'll go with Nate, but for you, do you reserve the right to call him Nathan when he makes mistakes?
Yeah, I guess if I have to send him to his room, something like that, but yeah, we don't anticipate that. I can't say enough about Nate as a person. Same thing with Tyler, and they both have handled this well. We made the decision at the end of last week. Both guys have really continued to practice really well, and excited to see him out on the field.
All right, Kirk, let's stick with another guy who you probably sent to his room at one point, and that's your son, Brian Ferentz, now the offensive coordinator after a couple of years as the O-line coach. Does having a son as someone who you are the boss to professionally make it easier or harder to have the tough conversations when you have to have them?
You know, it really hasn't made a difference, quite frankly, since Brian joined our staff in 2012. And, you know, I always look at it, you know, everybody that's coaching on our staff, we're all here for the same reasons. We all have the same goals. So it really hasn't been much of a challenge. You know, and by the way, it was his mom who sent him to the room. You know, she's the one that spoils people. She's also the disciplinarian at our house. And I always tease our team, if she were the head coach here, most of them would quit, I can tell you.
See, it's that kind of wisdom that not only makes you successful on the field, but keeps you in good stead at home as well. Smart man. Kirk, I said we would get to the Wyoming game, so let's get there. A lot of talk right now about how good this Cowboy quarterback in Josh Allen is and his NFL future. But a lot of that talk is from folks that never actually got to see him play. They're talking about what they read. You've seen film of him. You've scouted him. How good is he?
Well, I can attest to those comments. He is good. And I'd even backtrack there. You know, Craig Bull, the head coach, is a tremendous head coach. He's done a great job, you know, prior to Wyoming at North Dakota State. And in a short time, he's really got that program up and running. They're an excellent football team, very well coached. They know what they are, what they want to do, and they do it very well. They're very well coached. So, you know, that part's established. And then, you know, you factor in they've got an outstanding player here, too. And Josh Allen can throw the football. He can change the complex of a game really quickly. There are no plays off with him. He can hurt you a lot of different ways, and he will pull down and run too. So he's not just a thrower. So he's a really good football player on a good team. And this challenge, you know, it's kind of reminiscent. We played Roethlisberger 3 years, but his senior year in '03, he came into Kinnick. You know, we were fortunate to get the win that day, but they won out the rest of the season. And you know, I look at this game; it's kind of a comparative game that way.
Adding to that challenge, one of your top DBs, Manny Rugamba, will not play in this game. What does that mean for the remainder of the secondary, and who has to pick up that slack?
You know, we've known about that. That's for something that happened in the out of season. So, you know, we've continued to prepare, and Mike Ojamata has done a really nice job. So, you know, we felt we had 3 corners that coming into camp that could play really well. And then Matt Hankins has stepped up, a true freshman from Dallas, has done a nice job in camp too. So we've got 3 guys we have confidence in. After that, it gets a little thin. That's kind of the nature of our place. You know, we typically don't have a lot of depth, but we feel confidence in the guys that we do have out there.
And I know you have a ton of confidence in the unit just in front of those DBs at linebacker led by Josey Jewell. I mean, his numbers, his tackle statistics, they're off the charts. But when you talk to the players about Josey, the first thing they talk about is leadership. You've had some terrific leaders on defense, specifically at the linebacker position. How does Josey compare in that respect?
Yeah, I was just going to make that suggestion. Yeah, he's an outstanding football player, but his leadership is so valued, and that's on the defense, also just team-wide. Everybody's got such respect for him. From the day he's walked in here, he's just been nothing but business. He's all business on the field, off the field. You know, he's a fun guy, but he's also very, very serious, very competitive. So, you know, he's really done an unbelievable job. We've never had a guy that was a captain as much as Josie. And, you know, go back to 13 where we had a really great set of linebackers with Christian Kirksey, Anthony Hitchens, and James Morris. I would compare this group in some ways to that group. It's a veteran group. They know how to play, but they also give us real stability and leadership out there in the field.
Iowa head coach Kirk Ferentz, always generous with his time. Kirk, as always, we appreciate the time. Best of luck against Wyoming this weekend, noon Eastern, 11 Central, here on BTN. Thanks, Coach.
I appreciate the job you do. Thanks, Rick.